All right, guys, welcome to another podcast episode. We are live. We are on the podcast. I am undeniable. I got an awesome guest coming in today. He's David. He dropped 29 pounds in 90 days. Not only did I help coach him within that period of time to help him lose weight, he is one of the head coaches on a limitless coaching team. And it's going to be tremendously valuable. So you guys want to tune in, save this episode. And you guys are just going to get a shit ton of value out of us. So Dave, how's your day going? What's going on? How are you?
Day's going well, man. Definitely nice to be in the swing of things. I love Mondays for that exact reason. Monday is all about momentum. And I love being able to catch up on some steam that may have been lost during the weekend. But here we are, and Monday sets the tone for the rest of the week.
I like that, man. Well, since we're on the podcast, why don't we start off with this? Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, like what do you do? Obviously, you're a coach on the team. Get into a little bit of details about that. Give us a lay down, like who you are and what you're about.
Sure, not a problem. My name's David, and I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I'm 38 years old, and I am a coach at Limitless Coaching. And I'm extremely passionate about fitness. I'm extremely passionate about talking about fitness, and I'm excited to be here and to be on the podcast.
See, this is what you put on your Hinge profile. That's what you do. Like, this is David, right? He's single, ladies, just so you guys know, right? Single, ready to mingle. On top of it, but yeah, dude, let's give people like a lay down. Like, obviously, you're a coach on the team. One of the big things for David this year was that he wanted to lose weight and like really clean up different aspects of his lifestyle. But before we get into that, I want to talk more about you, right? I want to talk about you, get to know you a little bit more. Obviously, we know each other, right? So for those who don't know, me and David go way back in the day. I think I've known you now for 15 years, quite a long time. So why don't we tell people that? Like, how do you know me?
Yeah, I met Alex back in the Good Life days. One of the first personal training jobs I ever had. He was always just a chill guy, like the meme, just the chill guy. And Alex has always been one of the people that I always admired in terms of his knowledge base. And we met through Good Life. We worked together in another gym called World Health, now called Gym Movement. And over the years, just kind of been following his journey and seeing what he's been doing the last few years has been really, really exciting. And I'm just grateful to be part of that journey with him.
Yeah. So funny enough, like David said, we met at the gym. Like, I think I started working as a personal trainer 6 months before you. We worked at Good Life Fitness. And one of the things that stood out to me that you told me, you're like, I was the only one that said hi to you in that gym when you first worked there. Like, no one like talked to you at all. They like kind of avoided you. And I totally understand why. And it's not about David. It's because everyone we worked with were complete dicks. And like, just to be straight up honest, they're all smart trainers, people I respect. But like, there's something weird about the fitness industry. Like when you're a brand new trainer and you come in, it's like the older senior trainers or people have been along. They kind of like look at you like you're like dog shit, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you remember Aries?
No.
So Aries, I guess he was an FC or fitness consultant, the guys that sold gym memberships, the Filipino guy.
Aris, yeah.
Aris, yeah. And he said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, personal trainers come a dime a dozen, right? So I think that's the big thing with these old heads that are in the gym that kind of get comfortable being there. They see it's probably just a revolving door for them, right? They just see all these new faces, and it's hard to invest into somebody. So I can kind of see it from their perspective as well.
I disagree. I cannot see it from their perspective.
Okay.
I totally disagree with that. And that's like one of the things that gets to me. It's like, why wouldn't you want this person who's brand new to be successful and be successful when it comes down to helping people? So like at the end of the day, like any kind of position, any kind of sales position, you have to train someone from the startup. But if you're coming into an environment and you're already setting them up for failure, of course they're going to fail.
100%.
Right? At the end of the day, the senior trainers are there to like one of the biggest things like trainers who've been around the longest complain about shitty coaches.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Bad. But the reason why they're shitty is because these people aren't teaching them.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Right?
It's enough to point out the problem, not even provide solutions to the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen it all the time. Like they be whispering at each other. There was one guy at World Health. I forget his name because he was bad for it too. CrossFit guy, taller, bigger, with the beard.
Know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he would be talking shit about other trainers all the time. And I was always perplexed. I'm like, why don't you just go up to them and be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that? Like, it just makes sense to do, right? Like the more successful the gym is, the more successful clients are, the more successful everyone is. So that's like the one thing I can't stand in the fitness industry is like people aren't willing to support each other, especially new people.
Totally agree on that for sure.
Yeah, because like how else are we going to change the industry if we don't all educate each other?
Yeah, and I think it just leaves a sour taste in everybody's mouth, right? Not only that trainer never gets better, they probably leave thinking everyone's a douche and just never gets any. It doesn't improve.
Yeah, it doesn't improve, right? And I think that's like something that needs to change in work culture. That's something that I'm trying to do in Limitless is like really change that culture and giving people like the opportunity, the ones who deserve the opportunity to become excellent coaches, right? So for you, right, obviously we've known each other then and we kept in contact on and off over the years. So why did you decided to join my team and become an online fitness coach?
Well, I always knew I wanted to get back into the industry. I'd taken a bit of time off, helping family and just trying to kind of a little bit lost, you know, and I specifically remember in 2020 during the start of lockdowns, I was doing my 10,000 steps because the weather there is quite nice. So it's easy to get the steps in. And I tuned into one of your lives and I believe it was a live with Brian or one of those lives. And I was like, man, I really like that. So I always did my very best to show up on your lives and just spam you with hearts because that's I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that. It distracts me every time you do that.
Yeah, I remember that too. You're like, oh man, this is distracting. So, but I always it's kind of like whenever you see somebody building something, or let's say on the side of the road there's a broken down car and you see someone pushing the car, you want to get out there and help them or be part of that, right? No. And I saw that the consistency. And just showing up day after day, it was really inspiring. And I wanted to be one of those people as well.
Cool. I like that. So obviously kind of throughout this journey, right? You know, right. We met then, you joined my team, right? You wanted to work with me. And then throughout that process, it's like, okay, I got to start getting in shape. I got to start losing weight. Like you dropped 29 pounds in 90 days. It's not an easy factor, right? Mm-hmm. So what was the inspiration for that as a trainer, right? Why did you decide to do that for yourself?
Well, a big part of it is as much as I hate to admit this, and it's just the truth. People judge a book by its cover, right? And if you're an online fitness coach or you're any type of coach in general, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. People look at your physique and they look at you as like, okay, is this person actually a living, breathing testimonial or even business card for what they represent? Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that I was like necessarily fat, but definitely was starting to not look the part anymore. Let's put it that way. And the funny thing is I never stopped working out. I still did a lot of the stuff, but I think I just got into that comfortable spot that a lot of coaches tend to get into, which is like, okay, enough is enough. You know, I found my own happy medium. But what I found is when you have that attitude, it kind of carries over into other areas of your life, right?
Let's talk about it because I think that's a very important key topic you brought up. Carries over into other aspects of your life. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that exactly? And how did it affect you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not doing excellent in all areas of your life, or let's just say one area. Let's say one area in particular you're not managing. It could be a number of things, but in my case, it was my physique. I was putting in the reps and I was putting in the work and I was eating the right foods, but I didn't have a fitness goal. Right. And I think it's so important to have a goal, no matter, even if your goal is to maintain, because even that goal requires, I would say, a plan. Right. So you can't just, even though I don't like the word maintain, I much prefer the word gaintain, right. Or even main gain. But I found with me, like I could get comfortable really quickly. And I found that because I didn't have a fitness plan, that would just show up in my relationships. That would just show up in the way I, even with clients, right? Because if you're not holding yourself to a higher standard, it's hard to ask people to do the same thing around you.
Absolutely, right? But like, I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, right? So we talk about holding excellence, right? Excellence is the standard, and you want to be excellent in every area of your life. And you say you got complacent, right?
Mhm.
So why weren't you being excellent before?
I would say I wasn't being excellent before because I was just what's the word, constantly negotiating in my own head, right? Having that conversation and making these giving myself leeway to room. And I think failure, just so you know, I totally believe failure is part of the process and part of any type of success mechanism. But the thing is, like, when you don't have a goal and you don't have a vision, then there's no direction, right? Every direction is the right direction in that
Hmm.
case. So
Well, let's talk about that, because I think you brought up a key important aspect. When there's no goal, when there's no vision, you don't know what to aim for. You don't know what to go for. And like being January 1st coming up, right? A lot of people are going to make New Year's resolutions. A lot of people are going to be wanting to go into the gym. And one of the first things that we teach in our program is you need to have a vision and you need to have a goal. Because without those attainable things, you're lost in your sense of direction. So for yourself, like you mentioned at the beginning, you were kind of lost, right?
yeah,
You didn't have.
I was just doing what I wanted to do, and I found that it was not getting me where I wanted to go. And you've probably heard this saying a million times, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I was definitely in that what's the word I'm looking for? That gray zone, right? That gray area, and I wanted to go beyond that.
So now the question is, well, what inspired you to change? Right?
When
Because
I
it's not
got
like you just dropped 20. I want to give people context. It's not like you just dropped 29 pounds in 90 days. You went completely sober,
Mhm.
right? Drinking. You didn't have an issue, but you like to have fun with your friends and stuff, right?
Yes, yeah,
Uh, you
absolutely.
re- you really focus down on yourself for 90 days. And for a lot of people, that's not easy to make all those kind of sacrifices. So for you, what was that changing moment? Like where you're like, okay, I gotta pick my shit up and like make these things happen.
I would like to say that it was out of love, but it was actually out of pain. So I would look in the mirror and tell myself, I'm kind of tired of the same old, and I'm tired of giving myself excuses, and I needed to just basically cut the shit, essentially, right? And when you get that feeling of being so sick and tired of being so sick and tired of your own excuses, that's when change is. You're ready for change. First, you have to identify that you need to change, and then once you've identified what that actual problem is, then the wheels need to go in motion to make that change. So I knew that the biggest things holding me back, the biggest obstacles in the way of achieving my goals, was definitely copious amounts of drinking. That would be a big thing, like whether it be 2, 3 beers a night or what have you. It doesn't matter. The point is, that would basically be the gateway for eating poorly and then not feeling good the next day, essentially, right? And I noticed immediately after I cut out the booze, my food choices became a lot easier. In fact, I would say that losing that 29 pounds, I'm not going to say it was necessarily easy, but it was definitely a lot more seamless, right? So you got to identify where the possible obstacles are, and it could be a lot of things. It could be people that you're around, and it could be the food in your house, and so those things. Once you've identified what they are, it's a matter of having your north star and having that goal. Like, okay, like I want to lose as much body fat as I can in the next 90 days, and the 90-day sprint also feels not too daunting. It's only 3 months, right?
Well, that's not true, because a lot of people it feels super daunting. So like, why did you pick 90 days out of all of it? And why did you pick like obviously you got inspired to the point you got tired of your shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looking yourself in the mirror, like, okay, I have to change here, right?
Totally.
And I think a lot of people who want to get started on the fitness goals have the same like perspective, right? Take the shirt off, they look at themselves in the mirror and like, fuck my life, right? It's like the best way I can describe it, right? It's like having sex with your girlfriend. You look down, all you see is your belly, right?
And that's
Right?
exactly it too. I mean, if you're expecting excellence from people around you, like let's use dating as an example, and I'm soft, like I can't be asking to get the same standard back in return, and that's the thing too. It's a matter of like it's reflecting what you want in a partner, and to me, it's the lifestyle, right? I mean, I've been with people that didn't work out at all, and that did not care what they ate, and perhaps even drank a little too much, and you start to, it rubs off on you. No matter what you say or do, everyone influences each other to a certain degree, and if you're around those type of people on a consistent basis, it's going to rub off on you. And then even worse, you're going to feed into that too. It's a mirror, right? So it's like, okay, like you get comfortable.
See, that's where me and you differ in opinion on that.
Okay.
So I definitely believe like your circle is a reflection of who you are, but I'm also a big believer you can change your circle if you change yourself.
Yeah, I believe that too as well.
Right. So I think a lot of times when people are like, because they use that as a crutch sometimes, right? I can't lose weight because my partner orders a whole bunch of food. All my friends don't. All they do is drink. They don't want to do fun activities. It's not about them. It's about you.
Totally.
Right. So if you can demand excellence from yourself and be excellence in these key areas, well, first off, you have no idea how that can impact your friend circle. You can change their lives just by doing that. And second, the people who can't keep up, they'll leave.
100%.
Right. So I remember that in high school, me and my friend, we were the fittest guys in our group, but we helped one of our good friends lose probably like 70 or 80 pounds of body fat.
Love that.
Because he just saw us. All my friends started going to the gym. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think walking by excellence is such an important fact. And the fact that you dropped 29 pounds in 90 days is important. Very, very important number, because it's not just about the weight loss. And I think if people really understood that it has more to do with who you are as a person and who you are showing up in your family, your friend circle, at work, and how much you as a person matters in your presence, it can change a lot of people and can give you the lifestyle that you really, really want. Right. So 29 pounds in 90 days.
Yeah. I think the coolest thing that came out of all this, besides, the 29 pounds of fat loss, is I inspired my mom and dad to work out. That was a really cool thing. They now go to the gym regularly 3 times a week, and they walk every single day. And they made some pretty massive lifestyle changes. And it all started with having a goal to lose X amount of weight in 90 days. And I think you're totally right when you mentioned that. Like, if you have a goal and you're pushing towards excellence, then people around you will be inspired and want to be part of that journey and you'll touch their lives indirectly. And I think that's the best way to inspire everybody around you anyway is by walking the walk and not talking the talk.
Mm-hmm. And I think like the super cool part about it is like when you're making all these changes, right? You made all these changes, right? The thing is, like, what a lot of people don't know about Dave is when I first met him, he was already shredded. Like he used to be the ripped guy that I knew all the time, right? So and people go through these ebbs and flows when it comes down to gaining muscle, putting on body fat, losing it. Right. So for you, what was different about your journey this time compared to all the other fat loss phases that you've gone through in the past? Obviously, we talked about influencing your parents to start working out, which is huge. But what was different for you this time?
I think what was different for me was that getting back into that headspace, because it is a mindset that you need to have when you want to be lean or you want to be healthy, you want to be strong. It is a shift, because when you have that clarity and you know exactly what you want, then your decisions just become so much easier, right? And it doesn't muddy the water so much, because if you know, like, okay, I want to lose X amount of weight in X amount of time, well, I can't really be having these quote unquote off-plan meals so frequently. I can't be, it just makes the actions make more sense. But if you don't have clarity in that goal, then it's easy to be like, I don't need to do this today. You could just push it off into the next day. But that a goal with a deadline that's what makes it a goal, right? Is it when it does have a deadline?
Well, for me, because I'm also on my journey, my why is different compared to where I did in the past. In the past, it was for competitive reasons. I get in shape for a competition, a bodybuilding show, photo shoot. It was for myself, but this time it's for other people. Like I want to inspire people nowadays, right? So I think for you too, I think it's getting to you the point as well. It's like, dude, your journey can be super inspiring, which
100%.
is cool to think about, right?
Very, very cool.
Who would have thought that, the guy I met at Good Life, or you met me at Good Life, that we could be the people on social media inspiring all these people. Who
Yeah,
would have thought?
it's sometimes it's hard to believe. I always knew that we would do something. I just didn't know what it was. I think that's the big thing. And I believe a lot of people feel that way too, like that they have something inside of them. You know, there's a quote by Henry David Thoreau I really love, which is many people uh, live in quiet desperation and will go to the grave with a song still in their heart. And I'm still trying to find that song, or even several songs in my heart that I want to share with the world. And I feel like a lot of people do as well.
Well, you know what? It all starts with getting to know yourself.
100%.
What better way to know yourself than transforming your body and becoming the best version of who you are? So, obviously, when you got started, you can do this on your own,
Mhm.
but you asked me for help. So, two questions. One, why did you ask me for help?
Mhm.
And two, as a coach, why did you feel like you needed another coach to help you on your journey?
Well, first, coaches need coaches. I think a lot of people know that. I think another thing too to remember that if you invest in yourself, then you're kind of putting skin in the game, you know. And
Mhm.
as a team leader, it's like I can't really look bad in front of the team leader either, you know. But you know, so but also too, like I think a big part of it is when you pay attention, right? So when you have somebody on your ass and giving you that objectivity and that accountability, more importantly, accountability, because I think really that's a key ingredient for a lot of success. Is like, of course, we want to be accountable to ourselves, but when you have an outsider looking in, they could really shine a light on what you're not doing. It's not really so much what you are doing; it's what you're not doing. And it was nice to kind of have that weekly check-in, send photos and daily weigh-ins, and just also being on the other side of things as a coach, because oftentimes as coaches we could forget what it's like to walk a mile in our client shoes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, uh, what's next for Dave?
Well, big 2025 goals, definitely get a six-pack before summer, which is very, very doable. Within striking distance, about 15, 20 pounds probably away from it. And now that I have the systems in place, it's just a matter of taking action from here on out. And like I said earlier, it's not that it's easy, but when you have clarity and you have a North Star and you have a goal, then it's easier to execute the plan, right? Because there's no perfect plans, there's only perfect execution of the plan,
Mm,
right? So that's really it.
I love that. I love that. So, obviously, people are starting their journeys now and in the new year. What are your top two pieces of advice you would give to people to be successful on their fitness journey in the year 2025?
The biggest thing is you have to be very, 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 very honest with yourself. If you have you've tried this before and you've looked back and you're like, man, I've gone through like a series of sprints of where I would lose 10 pounds, gain 10 pounds. Now you're being honest. You're having that conversation. You're sparking the conversation in your head. And if you found that you've just been unable to do it on your own, that's okay. Admit it to yourself. I mean, I can't cut my own hair. There's certain things I just won't do myself on myself, you know. And I feel the second piece of advice, and shameless plug, but whatever, I'll say it anyway, is hire a coach, because a coach will provide that clarity that you need to keep going. Because the hardest part is to keep going, right? A lot of people, they'll see success, and I'll even speak from personal experience. You see a little bit of success, and you're like, you kind of get heady about it, and you're like, yeah, that's good, but just keep going, keep pushing, and then eventually you'll have a new standard. I've mentioned this in the past in my own personal journey, but if the plan is too easy, you're less likely to do it. What is easy to do is also easy not to do. If it's too hard, you're going to be overwhelmed and probably not do it either. But you need to find that sweet spot between being easy and difficult at the same time, because it's a slight discomfort. Because then from there, you're going to be able to progressively overload your standards. And it goes the same with the gym. Like you can't just load up a barbell with 1,000 pounds. Like, not that I'd be able to lift 1,000 pounds. Just say 500 pounds and just immediately lift it. You got to slowly build yourself up to it. You know, and I think a big missing piece is our goals. Our goal as coaches is not to break you down; it's to build you up. And so I would say that would be, if you want to accelerate your success in 2025, and you actually do finally want to tell yourself, oh man, I'm so glad that I invested into myself and I went all in on myself, because you could be looking back from summer in 2025 and be like, man, I'm so glad that I invested in that coach, because let's be honest. We're going to be spending this time regardless. The clock is going to tick no matter what. You might as well make the most of it, right? So that's all I got to say on it.
I love it. Love it. Tons of value. So where can people find you?
You can find me on David Neal Fit. That is going to be on Instagram and TikTok. And then on Facebook, just David Neal.
I love it, guys. Well, hope you guys got tons of value from David. If you do, drop some fire emojis in the comments. We are out. So peace, love, and protein. And we'll talk to you guys soon.